Hello everyone and welcome to the Coffee Talk podcast by Kolstack from our offices in Wrocław when we have this amazing podcasting studio. I'm Łukasz, your host, and in this Coffee Talk episode with me is one and only Abi. Hello.
Hello everyone. It's Abi coming at you live from the Kolstack studio in Wrocław.
It's not really live. This is recorded.
Yeah,
but
it's recorded.
Like we can say live throughout this episode.
I just think it sounds cool. I'll just be honest.
You are allowed one lie when you come to this podcast and you've exhausted your one lie already. So
it's worth it.
He will be truthful and I can have still one lie.
Okay.
Right?
I'll hold you to that.
This is a coffee talk, like I said, when we drink coffee and we talk. In this episode, I was thinking to bring Abi to the podcast to discuss React Native languages. So my intro for this episode is that I have this like 5-minute blitz talk, lightning talk, when I try to be funny and I go about saying how nice it is to be a React Native developer.
Right.
So when you are a React Native developer, you can start easy. You can know just one language, which is JavaScript.
Right.
And you can bring great products to the world using just this one language.
Correct.
So like the learning curve is like pretty easy.
I'd say.
Yeah. If you are a web developer, you can do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I started.
Yeah. But also, so you can be like this, I know just one language and I can create apps developer. But on the other end of the spectrum, you can be, I know JavaScript, I know a bunch of other languages, and I can use React Native to actually deepen my knowledge in those languages and to create more advanced solutions, like natively, like C++, all of that. You can do that. So I was thinking we can go over the spectrum together.
All right.
And like say a few words about the very easy JS, the more complicated native languages, and maybe touch on some of the exotic subjects in React Native languages.
I like it. Let's dive right into it.
So let's start with one and only JS. What can you tell me about the JavaScript?
JavaScript is by far one of my favorite programming languages ever. A lot of people seem to hate on it, and it gets a lot of hate, sometimes understandably so. Some things are very unintuitive with it, but I think it's evolved from where it first started as just like the scripting language.
Yeah.
It was kind of seen as a meme language for just web developers to use. And now just look at it. It's like powers almost every ecosystem you can think of. It's particularly amazing. Another fun fact about it, that it has Java in its name.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
We'll talk about Java next. But yeah, like for the language that was created in, I don't know, like 7 days or 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
It is pretty powerful right now, but one thing that I love about it is that they upgrade it every year. So every year we get the new features, new language, constructs, stuff like that. Recently, I read a proposal about putting very powerful switch pattern. So right now in JavaScript, you can use switch A equals B or something like that. But you would be able to do much more complicated stuff with it. So that's like a proposal, stage one. Let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's move straight to another language that is actually as popular as JavaScript, which is TypeScript.
It's the cooler JavaScript. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that meme before.
Yeah, that's for the cool kids. It's created by Microsoft not that long ago. Compared to JavaScript, it's not that long ago.
True.
And the premise is that you can write safer JavaScript. You can add types to it. And it doesn't differ that much from regular JavaScript, to be honest. But it is more complicated.
For sure.
What's nice about TypeScript it is that you can gradually adopt it to your project. So you can start with just JavaScript project. And I heard people say, if you're developing something, if you're just doing an MVP, just do JavaScript. Don't stress about the types. You can add the types later. Do you have a different opinion on that?
Yeah, no, that to me just sounds a little sus is what they call it these days. 'Cause
Okay.
in my perspective, like TypeScript can save you so much time just in catching your bugs and your errors just with the typing by itself. Like, don't even skip on it. Just if you have the option to use TypeScript,
Yeah.
you should probably use TypeScript.
Two different opinions here.
100%.
But yeah, so TypeScript is getting more and more popular, and it's getting upgraded probably much more often than JavaScript itself.
Oh, yeah.
Version of TypeScript come out every like a month or 2 months or 3 months. I don't know how often actually, but I read about a lot of news, and I come across TypeScript kind of news in every newsletter that I get. So it is very popular. So two very naive languages for JavaScript that you really need, either JavaScript or TypeScript.
Yeah.
Is there a third one to that list?
I guess you can kind of consider it a language. What with JSX and TSX,
Yeah.
which is the extension into the React pattern of constructing things. So you can now include your components rather than having to write them out in JavaScript painfully as these huge objects of doom. You actually get to write them as components that are similar to your HTML tags, and it just makes syntax wise everything just look amazing and crisp and write well and intuitive. So that's what JSX basically does. TSX is the same thing, but it's just for, you guessed it, TypeScript.
Yeah. And famously, Jordan Walk, who is a creator of React, back in 2013, I think, when React was first introduced, it didn't have JSX.
Yeah.
It had only functions. So you had this create element inside create element inside create element, stuff like that.
It was scary.
And he showed it to people, and they said, how do I read it, right? You embed function in a function in a function in a function. And then they figured out if we borrow the XML syntax, HTML syntax,
Right.
and we can just embed it in our JavaScript, it makes so much sense.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, when I first saw it, it wasn't intuitive, to be honest. I had very small experience with JavaScript at that point, and it was crazy to me to embed I thought it was strings actually. Never mind.
Wait, do you mean like the objects, like the object notation or the JSX notation?
JSX notation.
Oh, that's
it was
so crazy.
weird for me.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, so we have three then: JSX syntax, TypeScript, and JavaScript. So knowing that, you can actually go around the world creating unicorn products, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But if you want to go deeper, if you get bored with JavaScript, if you need maybe some more computing power, maybe you want to hook into some native possibilities and you don't have a JS library to do that for you, you have to go to native languages. So historically, React Native used to work on iOS first.
Right.
Then it was Android. Right now we have React Native Windows, React Native Web, etc. Let's focus on mobile side of things.
For sure.
So in Android is my background. So let me tell you something about Android.
Do tell.
You use Java to write it.
Goodness.
Yeah. So Java is this funny language that JavaScript borrowed a part of its name from. Java was really popular when JavaScript was created. And for a longest time, when you run Java on your Windows machine, they used to say Java runs on over 3 billion devices.
I remember this.
For 15 years or something. I think they've just updated it recently. I don't know what number it is there right now, but we have probably 10 billion Android devices themselves.
Probably.
And even more and more other things. So Java object oriented, everyone who goes to IT study school, we all learn it. Java is. So, and it's easy. I consider it quite intuitive.
Yeah. Well, so long as you remember like the word combinations you always have to put in the front of your functions every single time.
Well, that's the cool part about using these grown-up languages is that the IDE support is much, much better than it is for JavaScript.
Yeah.
For
probably.
JavaScript, your IDE will tell you some good suggestion, but it's also going to give you some just rubbish.
Yeah, JavaScript is mysterious.
Yeah. But for Java, you either get a good suggestion or you don't get suggestions at all. So that's a power of like good IDE, like Android Studio, IntelliJ, stuff like that. Eclipse, I think.
Yeah, Eclipse is one.
Yeah. So from Java, Google took this language and put it in Android. Android became massively popular. And they said, okay, but Java is quite old.
Yeah.
So who invented Kotlin? Do you know?
I don't actually remember this fun fact.
Yeah. So Kotlin wasn't invented at Google. Invented. Created.
There we go.
Sorry. Yeah, that was one
One
lie.
doesn't invent a Kotlin.
Yeah. So Kotlin was created, I think, at IntelliJ. And Google had something to do with it, but they're not a creator. They're not owner of this language. And the premise with Kotlin is that it is Java compatible, so that you can have your Android application and you can have that in Java. And then they created this like a functionality Android Studio
Right.
to translate your Java files into Kotlin files.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I tried that.
And
It's scary. It is scary. I don't know if it works.
wait, did something blow up or something?
Like, you get this language that you don't know. It's like using Google Translate, right? So you have your letter written by your lawyer, let's say in this
Right.
example, written
Okay.
in Polish, and then you want this to be translated into Chinese.
I already know where this is going.
Yeah, you get the Chinese letter. Is it good? Does
No.
it work? I don't
Ooh.
know. It's like-
Yeah. It's a coin toss, really.
yeah, so I think it works most of the time.
Okay,
let's
at
believe
least.
that.
Yeah.
So Kotlin has some better functionalities than Java. It's nice. It's modern language. Invented again. It is invented. No, it is created.
It's created.
Yeah,
There you go.
created in 2011, I think. So that's Android part of things. Next up, we have iOS.
Of
right?
course.
So what do you do in creating iOS apps, like clear iOS apps?
Well, I don't know about you, but I use React Native. Okay,
Yeah.
no. Probably Swift. Swift is the iOS kind of related stuff. There's Objective-C as well, which is yeah, it's Objective-C. It's just,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the funny story about Objective-C is that it is rubbish. That's my
100%.
opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but like I hate it. How do you even read this language?
that's the neat part. You don't.
Yeah. So Objective-C was created at Next, I think. And Next was a Steve Jobs company when he got kicked out of Apple in the late 80s, early 90s. He created this Next company, and then Apple got bad. And they said, Steve, can you please come back with your company to help us out create an iPod and iPhone and all that?
Right.
So Steve came back with Next, and Next brought this Objective-C language, and it became Apple default language for iPhone. Bad choice.
100%.
Yeah, and they realized that we have this language that no one likes to use, but we also have this like billions and billions of iPhones to sell. Let's give developers something new.
Yeah.
So they invented Swift.
Created.
Yeah. Swift is also a modern language. What's fun about Swift is that they created this game. It's called Swift Playground. And you can actually, it's on iPad. I think it's on Mac right now as well, but it was iPad exclusive for some time.
That's pretty cool.
And then you can like create some programs.
Yeah.
And the avatar in like virtual world can go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, turn around, like jump, something like that, you know, like turtle programming languages, stuff like that. So you can actually learn Swift doing those simple games. That's great.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was actually trying to get my whole family playing this fun game, and I'm the only one left. Yeah, so that was Swift. And so we also have Windows.
Yes.
React Native Windows. And under the hood, Windows uses like C# language.
It's all very alphabet style kind of stuff.
Yeah, but also in Windows, you can use like a bunch of different languages.
100%.
Yeah, I had a conversation with someone at the managerial position at Microsoft.
Yeah.
And we were discussing React Native. And I asked him, how did you end up with using so much React Native in your Microsoft Office suite? And he told me, oh no, this is not just a React Native. This is a 25-year-old product, or even more than that. I don't remember the number. And he said, so we have like versions from 2000 that use something. And then in 2005, something came up and we used that as well. And it's a big mashup of every technology. And React Native is just one of the technologies that we use. So that's pretty cool.
I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, that's both cool and sounds like it's pretty difficult to maintain from my perspective.
It is, yeah, probably. But again, they have like tens of thousands of engineers.
Yeah, this is Microsoft.
Yeah, and Office brings a lot of money, probably. I don't know.
And they made TypeScript, so...
What do I know? I don't even use Office. Okay.
What do you mean? You're in the office right now?
Yes, this one. So yeah, shout out to our Wrocław office, which is amazing. That concludes, I think, our section about native languages. So just to summarize, right. Android, iOS, Windows, Android, Java, Kotlin, iOS, Swift, Objective-C, not in that order.
Right.
And then on Windows, I know that there is a C#. And C# looks like Java somehow.
Sometimes.
It's not. Oh, never mind. That were the native languages.
Right.
Let's move on to exotic ones.
Exotic.
Yeah.
Yay.
And exotic use case, for me, I will give you an example of an exotic use case. You can use other languages to write in, for example, Kotlin.
Yeah.
And your program will transpile, I want to say, compile to JavaScript file. Mm-hmm. And that JavaScript file will be your entry point for your application, and it will have like JSX and all that, right?
That is hot.
Yeah. So if you hate JavaScript,
yeah,
you can use Kotlin to write JavaScript. Mm-hmm. You don't have to touch it ever again. Just write Kotlin, compile to React Native, and it will actually direct your rearrange your native views written in Kotlin. So Kotlin, JavaScript, Kotlin, for example. And from that perspective, I actually have been working with one of those languages, and it's called ReasonML. Right now it is called ResScript. It's a long story, but it is created by Jordan Walk. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, creator of React.
Right.
React in the beginning wasn't created in JavaScript for JavaScript. It was created in one of the languages from ML family. I think it was standard ML. ML meaning meta language, standard meta language.
Okay.
There exists a language called OCaml, another from ML family. And on top of OCaml, this Jordan Walk guy, who is like a genius or something, created React. Doesn't work for Meta anymore, but he used to. Mm-hmm. Right now, he is hands-on for this Reason ML project. I wish him very best.
Same.
Yeah, so I worked in Reason ML for a year. And this is another language that you can write in these very strict types. It has a great compiler, and it produces JavaScript for you. So it treats React as a first-class citizen, and JSX is embedded into the language itself.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So I think in Kotlin, you cannot write JSX. You write in a functional way somehow. But in this REST script, Reason ML style, you actually treat your JSX as a part of the language. Yeah. Any other exotic use cases?
Well, the only ones I can really think of are probably troll ones. But but if I had to think creatively, honestly, considering with React Native, you can basically just build native modules. So long as the language can build native apps, you can pretty much use anything your imagination can think up. Personally, I'd want to see if it's possible if you can just take something made in Lua and just go ahead and build that in React Native.
Okay, isn't Lua like a cryptocurrency or something?
Well, no, I think that's Luna.
Oh yeah,
we don't speak of Luna. Bad things have happened. But
I'm too old. I'm too old.
Hey, that's why I'm here. I'm compensating for it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But yeah, Lua. It's a pretty interesting programming language. I think I've only seen it like once or twice in my life. Yeah, I'll be really curious because I want to see people being creative with what you can do with it, because React Native is like the most versatile tool I think I've ever used.
Yes, to that point. Actually, in our preparation for this podcast, we forgot about something, and this is a hot take. So sorry for bringing this up, but there is this new thing called new architecture, and in new architecture, you don't have to, but you can write C++ bindings, C++ code. And it was available also for like normal React Native. Like you can use C++ code in your Android and iOS applications, for example, right? So you could do that even with old architecture. But with new architecture, there is no bridge, right?
Yeah.
That's how it's new. And so you can control your native code from JS to directly to C level or to C++ level. So yeah, C++, another one to our like React Native languages.
That is really
I don't know how many we have, but probably like 90 or something.
Yeah, no,
we mentioned 90 languages.
Huge.
Yeah. So to summarize this episode and to go back in a full circle to my 5 minutes funny talk that you can watch on YouTube probably. When you are a React Native developer, you can use just one language, JavaScript probably, to write $1 billion product that you can sell and live somewhere on the island for the rest of your life. Or you can actually like get knees deep into some weird technology that you care about, and you can just use it as well in React Native ecosystem. So that's great.
Oh yeah. And the island is great too.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I wish I had this issue that I have to choose between writing JavaScript or like writing at all and living on an island.
Do you want to write JavaScript, or do you just want to be on Java, the island?
That's nice. That's nice.
Maybe that's why it's called JavaScript.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, Abi, thanks so much for joining me.
And thank you for having me.
Yeah, in this coffee talk, which I didn't finish yet, so I'm going to do that right after the episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this show, let us know. If you didn't, also write a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just write a comment. We can adjust. If it's a nice one, we can adjust. And yeah, see you in the next one.
Cheerio.